the tip of a very large iceberg. We have the Neil Gaiman story just going every day. Still, not many people are talking about this. You've got a silence in the mainstream media. You've got mostly silence on Twitter and Blue Sky. But what we found actually presents some more damning evidence just about how creepy Neil was, according to these people who were posting over the past 20 years. This gets wild, and we've already got a lot going on, and we'll get into the news in just a moment. If you're not familiar with Neil Gaiman's situation overall, because nobody's talking about it, we will happily just go over what we've learned as well. This is crazy, absolutely crazy from the author, but also not unexpected from the publishing industry and comic industry. There's a lot of weirdos and creeps in there, guys. It's really bad. All right, my name's John Delarose, and of course, I've been banned from the comic industry and publishing industry. Why? Because I just tell the truth about what's going on. That's far more dangerous to them than weird sex pests out there going and preying on young girls. They give them awards, but talk about that there's corruption in publishing. Oh boy, you're out. So I've been banned from the World Science Fiction Convention. They libeled me a racist bully, and of course I won a lawsuit against them for defamation on that. And they were forced to apologize. Yet, it didn't undo a lot of the damage. I'm still nobody from publishing who has been after me for years has apologized to me for any of this stuff. But it really doesn't matter. I'm doing this all on my own, and I've got a great science fiction epic for you in The Hidden Emperor. If you miss the way that Star Wars used to be, just action, adventure, fun, heroism, good stories, this is exactly what we are bringing to you. It's a new graphic novel that's from myself and this woman, Ms. Crimson, out in Canada, and we have a $20,000 winning product for you right now. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for coming in so hard. If you want to support alternatives to the mainstream industry, get some good books, definitely come in here. It's in the description below. Thank you so much again for the support already. And please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us here for all of our pop culture news. So I've been reporting this a lot on my Fandom Pulse Substack, also in the description below if you've not signed up there. And Neil Gaiman was accused of sexual assault by two women. This came out in a podcast called Tortoise. Now, usually when you talk about this kind of stuff, they always go, "Oh, it's clickbait. You're just trying to capitalize off this kind of thing." Tortoise is not that, and they couldn't do that this time. Tortoise is a very thorough outlet. They call themselves Tortoise, like tortoise and the hare. They do months and months of research before talking about a topic. They just make sure they have all their facts in a row. They actually did talk to Neil Gaiman, according to them, and did actually talk to several victims and people related to the victims. Crazy stuff. And so these two women were in situations that were pretty bad. One was a fan who was 19 years old when he was 42. He brought her up to his hotel room, and she said he did some non-consensual stuff, but was taken advantage of. He just and again, he doesn't claim this stuff doesn't happen. He just claims that it was consensual. Second was a nanny from a couple of years ago when he was 62. This girl was 21, and he invited her to take a bath with him within hours of her coming to the house to watch his kid, and proceeded to debase her in a lot of ways. He claims that they merely cuddled in the tub naked together. Very creepy by itself and weird for 62 or anybody. I mean, I can't imagine anybody doing that, let alone somebody 62 to 21. That's like a granddaughter. And here it is. It just keeps getting worse. Now, as those stories came out, the details of the Tortoise podcast, the nanny was forced to sign an NDA at some point. Neil Gaiman allegedly said that he was going to Minecraft himself if this came out, and crazy stuff. Now, his former wife, Amanda Palmer, told this girl, according to her story, that there are 14 women who have similar stories out there. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, we uncovered the other day that there's a science fiction writers workshop called Clarion, and they actually have a Neil Gaiman rule out there for the teachers, which is do not go sleep with the students. There's apparently another workshop out there, a writer's workshop, that caps out age at 19. It's for high school age kids, and Neil is there's an unsaid ban that he's not allowed to teach there because they don't want him around them. We broke that the other day. But now there's more talk on Blue Sky about what's going on with the situation. This is some pretty wild stuff. of course, people are just getting into this. So these are all posts compiled from Blue Sky and Twitter. One of them says from Vox Day's blog, he just here to tell my own personal experience. I was friends with one of the personal assistants. That's, I guess, Neil's. I remember her telling stories back as the early aughts about having to, quote, pull Neil off a 15-year-old fan. Oh, geez. Yikes. She said this with a kind of eye roll that wasn't uncommon, simply part of the job. Given that, I think we're about to hear much worse stories than the ones in this podcast. Yeah, and that's kind of my take too, is that if Tortoise came out with this, and they really know what they're doing as a media deal, there's worse stuff coming out. This is they dropped the light allegations first, and they've got hours and hours of interviews and things like that. This is just the tip of the iceberg, as I said. Somebody else said, yeah, I keep hearing what are so far rumors of this kind of unsettling, to say the least. I'm waiting for more information. Later, another says, Neil was very important to me at various times in my careers. He was my teacher at Clarion. He blurbed my first novel. He invited me to perform at TED. We have always been friendly. My impression was he dated fans in the past during headier young days, but now knew better. Oh, be better, Neil. But now that survivors have gone on record, I have zero problem cutting all ties. I want to say publicly and explicitly, no personal favors, no creative works, frankly, are worth more than the safety and well-being of these two young women, and who knows how many others. I say because you better be sure I'll be paying attention to whoever stays silent. Wow. Another says, thank you for so much for saying Neil Gaiman. His silence and the silence of everyone in his orbit and wake of this is making me feel like I've lost contact with reality. And yeah, I've been checking Neil Gaiman's accounts for a while. He's been dead silent since this came out. A very weird tactic. I guess he's trying to just make it go away with the media, just like by saying nothing, by cutting appearances. We know that he canceled an appearance last weekend. Didn't say why, just ended it. Was charging $35 a ticket. Very, very odd stuff. I wonder what Neil Gaiman is saying about this. Look, he hasn't posted anything in over 2 weeks. What a freaking coincidence. Yes. At this point in the process, it's nearly an admission of guilt. First, Neil Gaiman disappeared for obvious reasons. Then Ken White disappeared. He chose to do so. If John Scalzi disappears, I feel my feed may be empty. Wow. What does or doesn't come of the Neil Gaiman allegations, the fact remains that many, many people have spent years extolling the Sandman whose beloved protagonist condemned a woman to eternal torture for rejecting his advances. Very odd, creepy protagonist right there. That's absolutely true about that, too. Absolutely wild for Amanda Palmer's first tweet since June 19th to be scolding Joyce Carol Oates for not reading Alice Munro article before speculating on it, considering she's actively avoided addressing her part in Neil Gaiman's allegations. Particularly wild seeing as Amanda Palmer deleted comments from her Instagram on Saturday asking her about Neil Gaiman allegations. So, that's interesting. I didn't even know this happened. So I guess people were asking about it, and Amanda Palmer's deleting comments, including the allegation that 13 young women came to Amanda about Neil's behaviors, and that she's personally hired the 14th to be their nanny. Wow. Reddit's banned all discussion about it, which I already talked about before in another video. Not going to lie, I'm disappointed that the fact the comic community isn't talking about Neil Gaiman's allegations. I find it very hypocritical. They will swiftly condemn others for racism and bigotry, but a big name like Neil is accused pure silence. This is a personal person. I've known this about Neil for years. A close friend of mine is a local artist who worked for Neil and Amanda on and off for years, had to deal with Neil's advances. There's going to be more of my friends. They knew of others as well. I posted of Neil's behavior on occasion on social media, and sometimes women reach out privately to thank me for saying something. They have long feared coming forward due to the harassment they will likely face. I'm not going to debate anyone here. Yes, I spoke to the reporter behind this, who happens to be well-known and award-winning. He was looking for information, not a story, and the information is what informed the story he wrote from people I know and a lot of others. What is presented in this podcast is a tiny fraction of what I and others are aware of. This can be demonstrated right now with the permission of the victims willing to come forward and face the inevitable abuse Neil's fans will heap upon them. Yeah, this happens, by the way. So when you commenting on these situations, even reporting on these situations, I've gotten dozens and dozens of death threats and things like that just for reporting on some of this stuff with smaller names. With Neil fans, it's got to be crazy. And I've talked to victims of some smaller names of this kind of behavior as well. those people were very, very scared to come forward because of just like the pile-on that they're going to receive and just the hate they're going to receive. It's going to be worse for anybody who is a Neil Gaiman victim because if this happens and they come out with this kind of stuff, you know that this fan base is just going to go rabid against them. Very crazy. This is it. So further publishing industry stuff, a female junior staff at Harper, that's HarperCollins Publishing, used to warn each other about him. They are pushing Neil Gaiman books real hard. The sales prices are ridiculous. Like, we got to get in there before the whole public gets in the know level. So I guess they're going on sale with a lot of these books. I'm pretty sure the example cited in the Girls scene about Chuck Palmer, this is a show called Girls, is supposed to be a deniable reference to both Chuck Wendig and Neil Gaiman, which sure tells me the writer had heard the convos as me back in 2016. So there was a writer in the show. They called him Chuck Palmer. He was creeping on girls, and it was a fictional character, of course. And this is alleged that it's a reference to them. It would be Chuck Wendig, who's a very, very poor writer who got fired from Star Wars writing because he threatened to. He was threatening Trump supporters and Donald Trump with violence. We see how that's going these days. And Neil Gaiman, the Palmer reference would be to Amanda Palmer, so it's not that subtle of a reference, who was Neil Gaiman's wife at the time. Interesting stuff. Let's see. So less than 8 hours after this was posted, a linked article about Chuck Palmer was disappeared, and it was archived and can be seen here. Interesting stuff that article went down at this point. And then they're talking about a possible sock puppet about Neil Gaiman out there, and crazy stuff. Now, we've heard there is already one person who's making sure they remove blurbs from Neil Gaiman's books out there. That's been confirmed, and there's many more down the line. They don't want to be associated with this. The publishing industry knows it's gotten really, really bad already, and you can see that there's a lot more on this story to come. We'll see if the media actually reports on it. We'll see what happens. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out the Hidden Emperor graphic novel on Kickstarter right now. Really appreciate your support. It's been killing it. We'll be back soon.